into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We got Eric, we got AJ, we got Rudo coming to you on a Thursday. Not a whole lot going on as we're kind of waiting for the Stanley Cup Final to begin and some off-season stuff to kick up. But still a couple of conversations that I think are interesting around the league and involving the Avalanche that I wanted to get to today.
And then we'll have a middle segment that has nothing to do with the Avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll...
Yeah, I guess they made it about the Avalanche.
True enough. True enough. First of all, I did put out a video on the history of the 24th pick, which is the pick the Avs have this year. I recommend you go watch that video.
I watched it, and I have to admit, I fell asleep to it, not because it was bad.
Good.
But I fell asleep with my buddy Rudo last night. And I was like this in bed and everything.
Do you know how
but
many...
I think I was at like...
How does Jill feel about this?
Well, she was watching TV. It was 15 minutes, right? The video, and then
like
I was
13.
Like, I was like 9 minutes.
I haven't watched it yet.
And I was going to finish it today, and then I forgot.
I spent all of last night dealing with the fiasco that was my tablet purchase. So.
Oh boy.
It's all good now.
That's good. All right.
What a process. What are some of the hits from it?
That's exactly what we're going to get into.
Oh, perf.
There were some good picks.
Do go watch the whole thing. I recommend you watch all of it. But I wanted to ask you guys, rank 3 players for me. And just do it legitimately, and then I'm going to do something stupid. But
just because I'm going to ask this as a follow-up question before I answer anyway, I'll just do it right off the bat.
Yeah.
In terms of, are we ranking them as these are the best players or best players relative to the Avs?
I'm going to leave that up to you.
Come on, man. Give me some ground rules, brother.
That doesn't make it any fun. All right, 3 players. I'll pick 24th overall. There are a bunch more. Like I said, go watch the video if you want to see them all.
Yeah.
But Travis Konechny, TJ Oshie, Max Jones.
But okay, well, Max Jones is 3rd.
I know.
God, TJ Oshie was so good in his prime.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Travis Konechny because he's one of the league's best penalty killing forwards, and TJ Oshie wasn't. And I think overall their scoring is pretty similar, so I'm going to go with TK. Also, I think TK is a guy that will eat your heart out, and I don't know that Oshie had that in him.
Definitely not. Unless he was in a shootout.
Yeah, obviously.
No nerves, man. No nerves. Amazing. I'll take Oshie just because he won a cup. There you go.
Wow. Team success, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he was a big part. And then I forgot when he was wearing number 74. I was watching your videos. You say when he makes that pass,
between his legs.
And I'm like, I forgot this guy was freaking skilled. Like he was skilled. He's
everything that Trevor Zegras wishes he could be.
Yeah, but he had jam in his game, and I think he was a little bit wild in St. Louis. I think he had to be tamed down a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's hence his trade to Washington. But then he was a perfect fit there. And then, good player. I mean, they're all good players. I mean, God. Yeah, Max Jones is 3rd for me. But
on a skill level and production, clearly Max
he's
Jones
just faster, bigger.
We'll get to him in a second.
He's a north-south player.
This is transitioning into
it sure is.
Max Jones as a free agent. Would you take a chance on him?
No, actually no. I mean, sure, but no.
Okay.
The first thing, Konechny versus Oshie. I think objectively, Konechny is the better pick, production-wise. Oshie never has quite reached the highs that Konechny has so far in his career. Now, Konechny still has to prove he has longevity and can do it for as long as Oshie did, which, by the way, Oshie's still in the league. I'm not just writing him off, but his production has fallen off quite a bit in the last couple of years.
He's at the end of the road.
Yeah, for sure. But 2 guys that are super solid middle 6 or even second-line caliber players in their primes as kind of the ceiling of what you'd be looking for with the 24th overall pick. Now, this is where the Max Jones conversation comes in for Colorado. You look at these 3 guys. TJ Oshie didn't break into the NHL until the start of his D+4. Spent 3 years in college after getting drafted. Travis Konechny.
That shit just doesn't happen much anymore.
Travis Konechny, 1 year. Start of his D+2, he was a full-time NHLer. Then you have Max Jones. Split time between the AHL and the NHL in his D+2.
Ugh. Okay.
And this is my question to you guys, if you're the Colorado Avalanche. I'm not trying to tell you Max Jones is a better player than either of those guys. Not even close, if I'm being honest.
It's not.
But as an Avalanche organization who's trying to win now, is a guy like a Max Jones who can jump in and play a fourth line role for you quicker, potentially more important to you than a guy who might be a middle six player 5 years down the line?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. This is the same kind of conversation related to what we've talked about this week with Cal Ritchie. Of you could maybe get away with jamming him onto your fourth line either as a center or a wing next season. What does that do to his long-term development? He could probably stick in that job next year.
But how would that affect him long-term?
Exactly.
Sure.
What does it do to him long-term? Especially knowing that physically he probably just will not be strong enough for that job. But he, we've seen some real bad fourth line centers in the NHL. Like I think he could survive in that job. So relating to that, I would just say I'm not approaching the 24th pick with that mindset. I'm approaching it as we talked about yesterday. I'm trying to get the best player.
Sure.
I'm trying to get the guy that I think is the best. Now, if I think that guy is the best in seriously, if it's 5 years, or I can get 80% of that player in 2 years, I'm probably leaning towards the 80% in 2 years.
Sure.
Because you do have that window, you do have the primes, you do have contract considerations and all that. And if the guy that I waited 5 years for is just that much better,
is it worth it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I know you're always take best player, and I get
Yeah.
it, but what constitutes the best player? Is it the guy who's ultimately peaks the best, or is it the guy who helps you a little bit quicker?
me, I go back to my list, and I'm a hard firm on my list, and I built my list because it's years of hard work from everybody, and I go right to the next name in line, and I don't deviate. So, you know what I mean? I don't look into it as 5 years or 2 years, but I know what you're trying to say. I totally understand the question. I think it's a fair question.
Yeah.
But me, I go back to my list, and if that's who that is, then that's who that is, because I work too hard on my list, especially in the first round. 24 still in the first round. You know what I mean? And I think the rest will dictate itself out. I mean, it's going to play itself out. I don't. Because, like I say, things change so much, you know what I mean? And it's...
For example, look at the Avalanche roster right now.
And
right
what it
after
could
they
look-
won the Stanley
yeah.
Cup, remember that they had Gabe Landeskog and Val Nichushkin
That's
signed
my
long
point.
term, and right now
They're gone.
you've
in a sense.
had no Landeskog for
Yeah.
2 seasons, and Nichushkin can't continue his Avalanche career.
Yep. I mean,
So
it's just-
things, when you say things change, you're talking about those are
does.
2 really, really important pieces of their forward core that they have not had for 2 playoff runs now.
But I love the question.
And look
I
at
do.
the success they've had.
Yeah.
But I love the question. I really do. You know what I mean? And do I think some people do that and they'll try to pick a certain way? Yes. Yeah, 100%. Me, if I'm the manager of that team, though, I stick to my list. I don't know why I've always been that way, and I'll always be that way. But it's hard because it's so tempting. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's tempting.
I mean, look, with the understanding of the Vegas line of historical results don't guarantee future success, when you look at the 24th overall pick, without spoiling the video too much, if you're basing it on history, the Avs should take a forward with a relatively short developmental path to the NHL. Those are the ones that have been most successful in that pick range.
I would also... Are they more successful because teams aren't taking the big boom or bust prospects, or because they're taking the guys with the higher floors that they think are, the safer of prospects? Is that why they are?
Good point.
Is that why they are being successful with those short path guys? Because if we look at this year's draft class, we're going to start getting into the Avs guys here. We were having fun time with the list and stuff yesterday. Yeah. We're going to do it again next week. But when we look at all the options that could be available for the 24th pick for the Avs, do you want a guy with maybe a lower ceiling but a higher floor? Because higher floor guys have quicker paths. Whereas the boomer bust guys, people are talking about Dean Letourneau as a guy that
Miss me with him. I'm good.
He played at St. Andrews College. He has 2 USHL games. He's going to be in college hockey next season. And people are talking about him as a first-round guy because he's a relatively skilled 6'7" center, and that's a unicorn. So you know that if you take that guy, he's 3 years in college. He needs those. For sure. He needs that time.
Which guy's that now?
Dean Letourneau.
Sorry, because I was checking my mic with me.
So
Letourneau. The one that's going to BC there?
Exactly. You talk about a guy like Dean Letourneau.
Big boy.
Big time boomer bust project there. If you take him with the 24th pick, you know that you're not getting a quick path.
For sure.
But the hope is that you're getting the next Tage Thompson, which is crazy to me. I don't know how you could feel you're getting the next Tage Thompson.
Tage Thompson wasn't even Tage Thompson until 4 years into his career.
Outside of both being really big and eventually playing college hockey, they have almost nothing in common. So this whole he's Tage 2.0 is wild to me. But you see, that's the seduction of the draft.
Sure.
Because the more information you don't have, the more you can fill it in with the information you wish you did. You can dream on guys. So the more you've seen of a player, you've seen, I saw him in the KHL last year, and that's as close as we're going to get to him in NHL competition, whatever, right? I saw him in World Championships, and he did this. He was either good or bad. You look at a guy like Stolberg, the defenseman out of Norway, his stock is jumped a ton.
It's too high. It's too high.
It's jumped way too much because of his performance at World Championships, specifically because he did it against as close to NHL competition as you can possibly get. So my question about the history of the 24th pick and the approach to it are the more successful guys because you went with the safer picks, which ultimately you look at some of those picks and you're like, look, TJ Oshie, I don't remember his draft year, too.
He was drafted out of War Road High School. Man. That's not that safe.
I'd be willing to bet you, given TJ Oshie's skill level and his size, he made it to the 24th pick because he was in high school.
Yeah.
That guy today would be in the USHL, or he'd be at the DP.
Certainly not American high school.
Exactly. Like that guy, just given the changes in the environment throughout his career, almost assuredly would not be a high school pick.
I agree.
Because Eric can tell you, high school guys got dinged for being in high school.
Absolutely. Buddy, listen, I'm not knocking on the GM of the Quebec Nordiques at the time, but I'm young, my dad's an agent, and I'm having breakfast with the GM of the Quebec Nordiques, and he says, hey, I was playing high school hockey in Massachusetts at the time, right? And I was younger, and this guy I'm about to mention is older, but it was Jeremy Roenick. What's this Roenick like? I'm like, oh boy, buddy, this guy's good. I'm just being honest. Like in our league, he is freaking good. He's ballsy, and I would take him. I would take him, no problem. I know you're picking. I think they were picking 4 that year, and they ended up taking like Danielle Doré. I think something like it's like wow. And then they had a pick at 7. They didn't take him for that reason. He's just a high school hockey player. That's what the GM told me. He was just, I'm in high school. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not here to argue. I'm just having breakfast with my dad and you. You know what I mean? But
when you
get dinged.
Worked in a front office.
Oh, buddy, I can tell you guys, and I'll say it here. Our amateur scout, Neil Shea, that was been there, still there with the Avs in the Boston area. He was so in favor of 3 guys. I don't remember that draft year, but it was the Joey Hishon year. No offense to Joey, that's not what I'm not trying to knock Joey down here.
Joey Hishon's career will always be a what if.
No, it is what if. He got hit by Brandon McNabb in juniors. That's not. I'm not bashing Joey here by any nice kid. I'm not saying that.
Of course,
because you can't compare. You'll never know. He never played. He played a little bit. But what I'm saying is, Neil was so freaking gung ho on Kevin Hayes, Charlie Coyle, and Bukestad to a certain extent, even though he's out of Mini, which we did have Mr. Harrington at the time in Minnesota. But, and those 2 kept getting dinged, scouts, they're just high school hockey players. And it is a fact. It is true because you get dinged a little bit on that because, they're playing against 16-year-old kids and, they're dominating but it's a projection thing. If you're able to project guys, and that's an art. That's why I said it yesterday. Those guys are so freaking good. I'm talking about the scouts. But I tell you, Neil was pounding on the table about those 3 guys, and I still have nightmares to this day because I think Hayes went 24. I believe Coyle went to San Jose right there, and then Bukestad right after our pick. I mean, all 3 are still playing in the NHL.
Yep. And so Joey Hishin's been like a skills coach for the last couple years.
And again, no offense to Joey.
Of
And I know
course.
you're not. I know you're not saying, no,
not
I'm saying,
at
no,
all.
no. But and every time I still have heart palpitations because it's like, boy, oh boy, was Neil right. And I remember the fights we had in there. Like when I say we, I'm just monitoring, but it's between the amateur staff that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
And good fights. You should have those fights. But I always look back and I remember I was like, boy, oh boy, I hate that argument. I hate when you're told that, but it's high school hockey.
The same argument existed for Cale Makar when he was in
had that one too.
AJHL. Middlestat also
Middlestat
did.
had that too. But yes, right. Cale was the same thing. You're right with the Brooks Bandits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, so
It was my problem with him until I watched half of his games.
And it's a fair problem. I am not saying it's not fair. It's fair. It's a fair argument, but you have to dig it a little deeper sometimes.
I would say this: when you are, let me not say it. Let me ask you this, Eric.
Yeah.
Realistically, when you're on the draft floor, when you're projecting a guy,
Yeah.
are you ever projecting a guy as like a 5-year path to the NHL, or is that just what ends up happening for some guys?
No, I do believe that I think you said it earlier, but your question led to his answer, right? Which is a fair assessment of what some guys are. Take that Letourneau, which I know nothing about, besides that he's 6'7", he's going to BC, and he's going to be a high pick, right?
Yeah.
I think God, there's so many guys. Go back to Calgary when they picked Jankowski.
That's everybody's favorite example.
No, but
because he's like the prep guy that has made the NHL.
It is, he's years away. You know what I mean? And again, good pick, bad pick. I'm not here to decide that. Probably could have been a better choice than him. But what I'm saying is, you're doing it, and you're not seeing him for a few years. And I think some teams in their war room arguing about players unintentionally might stay away from a guy like because you believe that he's far away.
Yeah.
And then you'll have Mr. X before on the list because you know that he's more a 2-year guy than a 5-year guy, so to speak. I do believe it's human nature.
I can see how you could project a guy like that, but in my research for the 24th overall pick, pretty much every single successful NHL player was at least pushing for an NHL spot by the end of their D+3, and pretty much had a full-time spot by their D+4.
Yeah.
The Evgeny Kuznetsovs of the world are very rare. A guy that they waited, I think, 5 years. It was 4 or 5 years they waited for him to come from Russia.
And my point isn't that you can't have those guys. It's just the successful versions of those guys often accelerate that timeline when they play well through the first couple of their years after the draft.
Yeah, it's true.
But I'm telling you, when you're making your list, it's human nature to put it this way. If you're a top 5 pick, meaning top 5 team, you need immediate help usually, right? I mean, unless there was a super trade made like a couple years before and you fell on your lap. And usually it's because you had a shit season, right?
Yeah.
I was reading last night about, maybe it's your buddy there, Hellenius, saying that he's a man. He's probably more ready than people think about jumping in the NHL this year.
Typical Finn.
Right. I mean, they're all, it's in the water, man.
He's a beast.
But sometimes it might affect your judgment.
Sure. It can affect it the wrong way, too. Absolutely.
In the right way or correct way, because you're like, oh, boy, we could use it next year because we have a spot there. You know what I mean? Yep. And then he's more ready than Mr. X.
Berkeley Catton.
Whatever. Or, I don't know.
Well, and being able to put Hellenius into the AHL at least so that if he has a great 30 games in the AHL, then you can bring him up.
Berkeley path kind of thing.
Berkeley Catton you can't do anything with. You send him back to juniors and you're done.
But that's why it's human nature. I think it's in the back of your head when you're pushing for that list that we were showing yesterday. You're right. It does matter. It does matter because you can influence yourself a little bit because, oh, man, he's 5 years away or he's here probably in September. You know what I mean? So it's a big difference.
This isn't related to the Avs first round pick this year so much, but I do think that the Avs have gone the other way with this.
I agree, actually.
Where they have specifically valued European players who they don't have to give a contract to within 2 seasons.
Yep.
I It's a path. You're bang on. It is a path, and it's a direction that we talked about it, starting from the GM right down to the amateur scout, like the chief scout, head amateur scout, that it is a path you're taking.
Tiff, are we OTT or are the Broncos OTT today?
We have to go.
Because Nuggets are going to be right after us.
We have to.
I understand that, but are we on the OTT or not? Okay, cool. I can do my reads whenever I want then.
We'll just keep going.
Yeah.
We're 6 minutes past.
If we're not on the OTT, it doesn't matter.
Moosecock.
They can fight me if
Moosecock
they want.
is
It's all
back.
good.
Always is.
God, I forgot about Moosecock.
Since I've broken up the conversation, though, we are brought to you by Westera Credit Union. 9 different locations here in Colorado. They've been around since 1934, and their Smart Money checking account offers you 6% APY on your first $2,000 every month. And of course, you can get a whole lot more deals than that with their Smart Money checking. The rates go up and you have more opportunities as the balance of your account grows. And you can even get in on a bonus rewards debit card with the account too. So go check out Westera Credit Union. I grew up with them over on Lakewood on the west side, but they're all over the Denver metro area, as I already mentioned. And they were started by a bunch of teachers. So they're all about helping people and being part of the community. Go get with them if you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account. Visit westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply. Again, that's Westera Credit Union. Go get with them. And once you've saved up some money and you have some fun money to play with, get over with Bet365. Sign up with the DNVR 365 code with them. Download their app today with that QR code on screen. Bet $5 on just about anything and get $150 in bonus bets, or you can get your first bet insured up to $1,000 if that's the way you want to go with it. All with Bet365, all sorts of fun bets on there, whether it be hockey or football or basketball or baseball or a bunch of other sports that I don't even know existed. That's not true. I know most sports. I feel like of all people, I would know most of the sports because I watch a bunch of weird random sports on the internet all the time because I'm a weirdo. But you can bet on them with Bet365.
Last night was the perfect night for that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's no hockey, no basketball, baseball. A lot of the baseball happened in the afternoon.
It's true.
Because it was a getaway day, so it's like...
I've slowly started watching a little bit of the Olympic Channel to like build up and start getting ready for the Olympics
Prepare
this summer.
yourself.
I was watching air rifling the other day, so there's one for you. It's not the best to watch. Sport, to be honest.
I got here a little before our show started, and I was watching archery. So
archery is awesome.
I like archery. I think it's cool.
I like cornhole on TV.
Cornhole,
Those guys
not
are
an Olympic
sick.
sport, but pretty good.
Those guys are sick. Should be.
They're
Watching a dude
unbelievable.
just sink 3 in a row like it's nothing is
They know
like,
exactly
okay,
what
dude.
they're doing.
you get them all to land right around
They
it,
all
and then they're
fall
like,
in, yeah.
"Oh my
Sick,
god,
man.
it's crazy to watch how good those guys are at that."
Get with Bet365, 10,000 boosts or more than that even every single month with the DNVR 365 code. Of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. We also have a Bet365 Never Ordinary Top 5 to follow this up, put together by, Utah, really. The top 5 worst names for the Utah hockey team?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Yeah, 5 is Blizzard. Come on, we already have an Avalanche.
Right.
Blizzard, really?
You want to be Colorado's little brother that bad?
Yeah.
Wasn't Avalanche one of the final names too? Blizzards or whatever.
There's a couple of other snow.
I'm trying to remember.
Ones.
I don't remember. God, I'm getting old.
That was a long time ago. Yeah. Number 4, I'm going to find it. Oh, yeah, the Outlaws.
Which we have a
Yeah,
freaking
there's
team.
already a team in
there's
Colorado
an
with that
Outlaws
name. Sorry.
lacrosse team. So here we have Blizzard, which is directly tied into Avalanche for obvious reasons. Then you have Outlaws, which is one of our lacrosse teams, which leads right into number 3, which is Mammoth.
Also a lacrosse team here.
Also a very successful lacrosse team with multiple championships in its time. What are you doing? What are you doing? You put this to a fan vote, and all of your fans said, yeah, we just want to be Denver this badly. Are you for real? I know that Denver and SLC have like this like Mountain Oasis rivalry going on, but like you lose it when all you do is try to be Denver this badly, because then your number 2 on this list is Yeti.
Literally the Avs mascot.
Literally was the Avs mascot, and they had the shoulder patch on there for like, I don't know, like 15, 20 years, like forever. Now, you could make the argument that Yeti, the Avs have kind of moved away from it, and that is something that the fans are very upset about, and now Utah is taking it, but still, that's taking Colorado's leftovers.
This is
not nice.
I've said this multiple times already since the Utah announcement, but if they name themselves the Yeti and you're the Avs, do you not 30 minutes later schedule a press conference that said, our third jerseys are the foot now? Like, it's the easiest, okay, little bro moment of all time.
You're bringing Howler back.
Yeah, right. Like,
yeah. I want Howler. I want opening night next year, Howler to ride in on Bernie.
That'd be pretty funny.
I want Howler to fight. What's his name? The orange dude there.
Gritty?
Gritty. We need a
Well,
brawl.
see, if you don't have, or if you have both Bernie and
Howler,
you have a great chance to win because you have 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still Gritty. I don't want to count that dude out, but like, give me a break here. Give me a break here.
No. If you're upset with the Denver food scene, you just don't like Mexican food. Like,
yeah. And then Hockey Club.
it's not even a name.
Stop it. Okay? I understand. Do you want to be European soccer so badly? You've already taken your soccer team's name. You called it Real Salt Lake. Cool. You at least followed like a naming pattern with soccer. But now you're just going to be the Utah Hockey Club.
I hate it. I truly hate this
What's
movement
the
towards no
chant?
names.
Let's go HC. Let's go Hockey Club. Because Let's Go Utah sounds stupid. All of this is stupid. All of the hockey club stuff is stupid.
Didn't Washington do that in football?
They did
because they had a racist name.
The Washington football team.
No, I know that. I'm saying, but they did for a year or 2.
It was 2 years, I believe, of the Washington. Or I think it was the
And then it
Washington
became
football team,
Generals.
football club. Yeah, I think it was football team. It was incredibly stupid.
And everyone
the
hated
Generals,
it.
no? Like
The Commanders.
The
Commanders, sorry.
Yeah, it was incredibly stupid. It was the dumbest thing.
I'm not saying it's not dumb. I agree with you, but let me ask you this. Is that dumber, or is taking a name like the Utah Jazz, which makes no sense in Utah, and just keeping the name worse?
It's also stupid.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Lakers made sense when they were in Minneapolis, the land of 10,000 lakes. Now they're in a place with no lakes. The Utah Jazz, famously, I think it was basketball that said they moved into a city with no music. It's the stupidest thing. Yes, that's dumb. Why do you have to double up on the dumb to be the Utah Hockey Club? What? All of this is stupid.
I agree.
All of this is stupid. The only reason that Utah Venom isn't any better, it's also dumb.
At least
it's
not Colorado's name.
There's no stealing from Colorado involved in here, or just going Utah Hockey Club. Mm-hmm. You're that boring. Everybody knows that Utah's boring, but you're so boring. You're gonna call it. This sounds like a joke. How boring is it? We named it Utah Hockey Club. This is so dumb.
When you pay like $1 billion, it's like, you know what, you can do whatever you want. You know, do you think those are really the 5 finalists, or did they fix it? Meaning,
I mean, you always have to be careful when you leave it to fan votes, because that's how you end up with Bodie McBoatface.
that's my point. Do you think those are really the top 6 names?
I would be happier with Hockey McHockeyface, though.
Has a fan vote ever mattered? It'd be the Colorado Extreme.
They think you're funny too.
They're
it was
right.
the Extreme back then.
Yeah.
Avalanche.
The Extreme was the one that won the vote, and
Yes.
then they were like, nah.
No, it's true. That's true.
They could be the Utah Extreme. That sounds cool. Have at it. All of their games could be the X Games. You're still stealing from Colorado. It's fine. These are the 6.
What about the Eagles? Hey.
These are the 6.
I still vote for the Utah Salty Whales. That's my vote.
I never had
Salty
a good. It's who cares about Utah, man?
Apparently, there's a conspiracy theory that there are whales in the Salt Lake. So,
Did you know that there are people out there? I learned this the other day. There are people out there who don't think that chickens are dinosaurs.
I mean, like they're descendant from dinosaurs.
I'm sorry, but where else do dino nuggets come from? Boom. We're in a stupid segment, so I'm just like, I never thought I would have a chance to use this on the show.
All right.
Anyway,
Can't argue.
I'm all for Hockey McHockey Face. I think that's significantly better than the Utah Hockey Club.
Maybe it wasn't there. We'll never know.
And then your mascot could just be a puck with a face. Like
back then.
if you're not going to take it seriously, then don't take it seriously all the way.
Peter Puck. You guys remember him? No, you too.
No.
Shoot on.
No idea. Who is the worst mascot in hockey? I don't even know most of their mascots, to be honest.
I mean, it used to be that Flames one with the giant tongue where that coach ripped it out.
I don't know this video.
No, he was.
McTavish.
Yeah, McTavish reached up over the top of the bench and he ripped out the mascot's tongue.
That's wild.
It was like not like the person's tongue, obviously,
I
but
got
the
it,
mask,
I got
because it was like
it,
this really long red
It was
tongue.
in Calgary.
Yeah, it was Calgary,
Yeah.
and he reached up and he ripped it out.
I've never seen that video.
It was
If
incredible.
anybody's got it, that's Peter Puck.
Oh, that's okay.
Wild times.
It was like on Hockey Night in Canada back then. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
I will go home in 28 minutes. Otherwise, until then, you're stuck with me, fella.
What's the guy's name?
I don't understand mascots at all, to be honest with you. It's
Yeah.
not something that I get.
Well, they're not for us. They're for
not.
kids.
Sure.
Buddy,
I don't
go-
know. If you ask Marissa, they're for nobody because
Well,
she
when
was
you're-
scared as a kid too.
Yeah, well, when your mascot is like King Baby or Slamson the lion, you have terrifying mascots. There are some terrifying mascots.
Yep.
Obviously, Gritty is horrifying.
I mean, the Seattle one is bad.
At least Gritty is trying to be
I
horrifying.
don't even remember.
Gritty's
Bayou,
so
whatever
bad that
the
it's
troll
funny.
looking
Yeah.
thing.
No, I definitely don't know.
Oh my god.
Isn't it not just an... Anyway. While she's looking that up, you might need to chill if you're freaking out about a mascot. So go get yourself some Coors Light, the beer made to chill. It's the beer I reach for when I want to chill. I'm going to be drinking some during the Cup Finals. I don't know. What do you think, Chet? Should I do a watch along of some of the Cup Final games? You guys interested? I saw a couple people asking about it.
I'm interested in a watch along for the Stanley Pup.
Yeah, we could watch the Stanley Pup Bowl or whatever the hell
That's
it
tomorrow.
is.
Hell yeah, Nathan McKibble's gonna rule.
I'm not doing that. I might do some watch alongs for the Cup Finals, though, if you guys are interested.
Lame.
If there's a Game 7, we should do a watch along at the bar.
I'm down. I'm down for a Game 7 watch along here for the Cup Finals. I'll be drinking some Coors Light while I do it too, and I'll get it delivered right to my front door with CoorsLight.com/DNVR, where Instacart can get it delivered for you. So go check it out. Go get yourself some delivered with CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Get the beer made to chill for whatever occasion you might have. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please party responsibly. And once I've got a Coors Light in my hand, I'm also going to want something to eat. That's where Illegal Pete's burritos come in. Go get yourself some Illegal Pete's. They also have happy hour from 3 to 8 p.m., so you can get your drink on with them as well at one of their 15 different Illegal Pete's locations here in Colorado. If you haven't had a chance to go, their queso, mwah, absolutely delicious. You got to go check it out if you haven't had the opportunity yet. They make great food. Their burritos are awesome. If you haven't had them, again, check them out. Just got to try their burritos. Go get with them. Get yourself into one of their locations. Their newest one, I believe, just opened up in Wheat Ridge, but they're all over the Denver metro area. They even have one down in Arizona if you live out there. Go check out Illegal Pete's today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I wanted to get into the actual title topic of the day.
The Seattle Spooky Squids.
Look at that thing. What is that?
Oh yeah, it's a troll doll, isn't it? That was the thing.
Ooh.
Because those were started in Seattle or whatever it was. Yeah, I remember now.
How have I never seen this? This is bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
What is this? That's
Horrifying.
That's bad. I mean, there's no mascot in the world worse than King Baby. That thing is legitimately scary to look at.
Yeah, it is tough.
I wanted to talk about the around the league news, the very little that there's been. A lot of conversation flying around that the Jake Guentzel trade could get done tomorrow.
There was a lot of talk flying around about a Martin Necas trade.
Yeah, that
also
too.
getting done. Is
Mitch
Carolina
Marner's
just
in there too.
is Carolina just deciding to be bad now?
Dumping it all? Yeah.
No GM. Megan's not here to say no parents, no rules.
And that's we can talk about the Guentzel trade if you guys want to get into it. But the bigger point I want to make, and something that we've seen happening over the last 3 years, is teams being way more aggressive about making their moves. A very common phrase on this podcast over the last handful of years has been deadlines spur action. And that's still true. Stuff still gets done at the trade deadline. The free agency opening does create things happening, but
yeah, the morning of free agency is always a heartbreaker if you care about fun free agency day.
yeah,
Because
15 guys get announced at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like,
But
no.
Is this shift of teams being more aggressive and getting stuff done, like with the trade deadline? Trades still happen on deadline day, but it's been a few years in a row now where we've watched 6, 7, 8 big trades happen in the week leading up to the deadline.
Yeah.
Is this just the NHL now? Is this?
Yeah.
Are we just going to live in a world where stuff just happens when it happens?
For me, I think teams are realizing that it's better to do your business earlier because the more games that you get of these guys, the better it is. The more acclimated to their system, the less adjustment time, so that you're not looking at them in the Stanley Cup playoffs like Casey Middlestat going, well, he's still trying to figure it out. You know, I loved what Vancouver did. They saw their weaknesses this year, and they went and got Nikita Zadorov and Elias Lindholm well before the deadline.
Lindholm away, but
well before the deadline, and they won their division. It worked.
It's true.
It worked. Now, Lindholm was
Middling.
yeah, varying
playoffs.
degrees of successful, but
Good playoff.
but the reality is that they made their bet. They saw what was wrong with them. They made their team better early, and everybody else was chasing after that. You saw Lindholm goes, and Winnipeg panics and goes and gets Sean Monahan right away because they're like, oh, we don't have a 2C option after this. And at the same time, they thought that they were driving a dagger into Colorado's chances to get a 2C because those were the two clear-cut best available. Now Monahan probably won't still be a Jet, and Casey Middlestat's in Colorado for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
So I think it's great to do your business, to handle your business earlier. The earlier you get it done, the less desperation you have, the less chasing that you have. Remember free agency day a couple of years ago? The Avs lose out on the goaltender carousel, and they have to give up the first and Timmins for Darcy Kemper.
Yep.
They win the Stanley Cup. It's all good. You don't mind that deal. And the team that didn't make that move was the Edmonton Oilers, who ultimately loses in the conference final to the Avalanche. Hilariously, not to Darcy Kemper, but to Pavel Francouz. So sometimes best laid plans,
Yep.
But you can see the difference in sometimes teams get desperate and they have to do something. The Avalanche at last year's trade deadline, 2 deadlines ago with Lars Eller, they watched all the other big options go east. Ended up left with Lars Eller as an option. They needed way more than Lars Eller to make a deep run. And that ended up just being a waste of a second-round pick.
Yep.
A lot of things went into that, but ultimately that's where they ended up. So I think that, the teams that jump on and make decisions early are doing the best of their business and not the teams that are reacting to how the market is changing around them. Contract negotiations are probably a different animal, but when it comes to free agency and trades, I want to be first in.
Well, when it comes down to Guentzel, he knows if he wants to go back to Carolina, and Carolina knows if he wants to come back or not. Sure. So it doesn't sound like he's going back. I mean, from what we see in the papers and stuff, like the news, right? Well, you want him here?
Come to Colorado.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm going to be honest
Tiff
with
likes
you.
this
Like,
idea.
if I'm Chicago today, and I know it's been speculated, like, you got a bunch of draft picks the last few years and a bunch coming up. why not waste a draft pick right now to Carolina, a higher draft pick, obviously, because it's a UFA. I'm talking about Guentzel, and then get his rights
And
where
then
you can
throw
get it
a
done.
$9 million contract,
And then
at
you can
see
give
what
him
he
that
says.
8th year because he's he's not a UFA, right? Which is only 7 years. Now you can give him that 8 year, and then you give him that 8 year that he's looking for, and then all of a sudden now you've gotten a good player to play with, Bedard, and who knows what.
At least for the first half of that contract.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I mean, it is what it is, but why not? Why not try it? And if you're Carolina, why not get a draft pick? For. If he's not going back with you, which it doesn't sound like he is. And then Neshka, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like there's a little bit of unhappiness. They're a totally different situation. He's an
RFA,
which is totally different.
I have been confused by this, it's Martin Netjes time. He's an RFA.
Yeah.
He can't just
25
walk.
goals, yeah. But for me, it's like, whatever. Have a seat there, pal. We'll figure you out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's just the way
That's
I
the
look.
reality of every RFA.
They have
to be honest.
the majority of their defense is a pending UFA this year. They have a lot of decisions that they need to make. Martin Netjes, seriously,
I like him a lot.
Take a seat.
Know that.
Absolutely. He's great.
Let's just pipe down here. Let's just slow
If
down.
they want to give him away, I'm interested.
Sure. 100%. That's
You
not what
want
I'm
that
saying.
24th pick?
But there's a reason there's a tier on, where you're supposed to be at, and he's an RFA. So, just whatever. Qualify him at his QO, and then just wait, see what happens. What's the problem?
With Netjes, you don't need to be in a hurry. These other ones, you are less than a month away from losing all of them for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're not coming back to you, then get some picks, and then you can swing with those picks.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And if you're in Carolina's situation, you don't really need more prospects. Trade those picks for players that are good.
Or prospects. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Always options.
There's a lot you can do. That's true for every team. You need to make decisions.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the team that usually tries to wait out the market the whole time usually doesn't end up having a very good offseason.
You get the crumbs.
We talk about let the draft come to you, let the market come to you. There's a time and a place for that. You have to make some decisions along the way.
It has to come to you eventually. You can't just let it pass you by.
Yeah. Standing at the train station, waiting for the train to get there. The train gets there, and then it just boom, and you're like, okay.
Was that our trade?
Yeah. Exactly.
Part of this conversation, I know there technically isn't an official marker on this, but the salary cap expected to go up to 87.7 this off season as far as a total cap hit for the league. Does that give teams a little bit more money to spend? Because I know often teams spend their money in expectance of a cap raise coming, but it's been 3 years of this now where that cap raise didn't really come. They got $1 million.
Yeah.
Not really that much.
They got a pity million last year.
And you've seen teams kind of curb that expectation of spending this money because of the unknowns of the salary cap over the last couple of years. Is this cap relief as an extension, or do you think there are teams that all of a sudden have an extra $4 million to spend now?
I think they've known,
long enough.
Yeah, look, they paid off the escrow credit card.
Yep.
From the COVID years, the cap is only allowed to jump so much. It's not allowed to take a NBA style $12 million jump or whatever, which created mass chaos and ruined the financial landscape of the NBA for 5 years. It's only allowed to go up so much, and so I think we're going to see 5 year, what was it, 4 something this year, and then we're going to see 5 this year, and then 5 the next year.
92 something is projected for 26.
It's going to continue to take big jumps up there. So me personally, I'm not too worried. For the Avs right now, you're like, can we get that 12 right now? But I'm not too worried about handing out bigger contracts now. That 4 will help everybody. I think we're going to see some reckless spending in a bad free agent market because it's a bad free agent market.
Not just this year, but the next couple of years of increased cap. Yeah.
Yep. And I think we're going to see some contracts that when we first see them are going to produce some sticker shock because everybody knows that cap is going up. Barring another worldwide pandemic.
P.S. Someone just died of bird flu.
What is it? Berkey always says that, July 1st is where you make your worst mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
somewhere, somehow he's right. That's why what we've been talking about the last few days, and especially next week, the draft's so important. I mean, it just is.
Yep.
It's so important, you know.
You can't trade picks and prospects for really good players if you don't have prospects.
Yeah.
You got to have prospects.
And you got to nail your picks. You do.
You at least have to have picks that turn into intriguing prospects.
The simplest way I can put it, if you can get players playing in the NHL on their ELC, that's just like giving yourself a couple $1 million of cap hit.
Yeah.
Because ELC's, I think they max out at 950 now. I think they just went up. But still, if you have a guy on your third line making 950 on an ELC instead of a guy on your third line making $3 million.
There's a big difference.
Well, because where's the rest of that money go?
Wherever you want it to go.
Exactly. That's the difference between maybe being able to sign a Jake Guentzel in free agency because you can spend that extra couple of million on that star player.
I have a potentially dumb question. Do teams ever draft players that another team might want with the intention of trading?
Probably not directly.
I would say unless they already had a deal in place for that guy, no.
Okay.
I think that you probably draft, especially in the first round. Eric talks about drafting the best player available. Sometimes the best player available fits a slot in your organization that you have a lot of players of. So you might draft a guy and say, "Hey, we'll trade someone on this list of that position at some point." But I don't think you ever have like a specific team in mind.
You're like, man, the Canes really want this guy, so we're going to get him so we can. Okay.
This is one reason when you're talking about draft defensemen, dude.
Yep, everybody wants defensemen.
Always in demand. And look at when they Justin Barron, Drew Hellison, Connor Timmins, all prospects that were traded away.
Yep.
And all led to starters and impact players on your Stanley Cup champion team.
Yep.
Lecky, Manson,
and Darcy Kemper. Like,
I know.
Draft defenseman. Sean, I'm just waiting for the Sean Barron deal. I've been waiting for the Sean Barron deal for a year now. After they got Gulyev, you're like, Sean Barron's. Gulyev even is one that you're like,
totally.
You know, in
I
the
would
next
hurt
year,
me personally, but I would totally understand it.
In
if
the
you
next
get the right
year,
deal.
you're like, hey, we don't have a first round pick in 2025. That's going to be a prospect.
Yep.
There goes Gulyev out the door. Or Sean Barron's, or I mean, it won't be Sam Malinsky, but because he'll be on your team.
Yeah.
But
you got to find value somehow.
right, you use the 24th pick this year on a defenseman.
Yeah.
Okay. To your defenseman point, was watching the PHLY show the other day.
Bowen Byram.
Chris Peters went on, Philly. His top 10, 6 defensemen. Just saying.
Which ones?
I didn't listen to the whole show.
Wow.
I think he had like Perek down around 10. And then he had the other ones you would expect. Levchinov, Bouillon,
Siliev.
Dickinson, and Siliev. Yeah.
Dickinson. I still haven't figured it out with Dickinson. Anyway, go ahead.
Just my point of, I think the entire league has realized the value of drafting defensemen.
Well, and when you look at, we can disagree about those defensemen all we want, but look at the common thread between almost all of them is really good skating. Mm-hmm. Carter Yekemchuk is the only one who doesn't have high-end skating ability.
Yep.
All the other ones can move. Their skill sets vary, and they go all over the place after that, but they can all skate.
You got to have skating in the modern NHL. You just have to be able to skate. Or if you, I mean, even the worst skaters in the NHL are okay skaters. Mm-hmm. And if you're an okay skater, you better have a really good hockey IQ because you need to know where to be. It's just the reality.
Thank you.
Is that you?
I couldn't skate.
But
I heard you could water ski, though.
I did. That was good.
You also have the guys outside that top 10, though. Of
course.
You look at a Stolberg, you look at a Charlie Ellick, you look at an EJ Emery.
Yep.
Those are all big guys. They're all defensive defensemen who can skate.
Yep.
Like, the Caden Goulet comps are falling out of the sky this year.
I guess I shouldn't be that surprised by this evolution. As we've seen the NHL had this big wave of like small star, high skill, high skating ability forwards.
Yeah.
And to solve that, you need good skaters defensively to be able to keep those players in front of them. Now, eventually you hit a point where things will swing back the other way and teams will start drafting bigger guys. But you can't draft a bigger guy that is just going to get blown wide every single time, because then his size is meaningless.
Yeah.
You can't keep the play in front of him.
Yep.
So drafting's tough.
Well, and it's making him like guys like Emery, guys like Alec, and as we've talked about with Solberg.
Yep.
I don't know that in most years those guys would be first round picks.
I think
But with the way, like, I should say previous years, but with the way that the NHL has evolved, that size and that skating, you look at those two and you're like, look, those guys will be great shutdown defensemen.
when you look at
They better be, because there's not much else there.
when you look at the path, I think for Emery specifically, and we'll talk more about this next week, but to me, stylistically in the USNTDP, he like turned into their shutdown guy. It reminds me a lot of Drew Hellison,
Yeah.
who was a second round pick. Mm-hmm. So you've seen the direct value of a player like that increase in the NHL, that he's rated to go in the late first now.
But also I want to add, that's a show for another day too, but it's what you do with your picks. You know, I do believe nowadays it's so important, your development team, of how you surround those picks to make them maybe try to shave a year that we were talking about earlier, right? You know what I mean? There's a lot you can do. You know, back then you used to draft guys and then you lost track of them. And, you know, it's such a different business now. And I think every pick every dollar matters. You got to spend some money. And most teams do now on the development side of things. And I think if you have a great development team where you surround those kids, you know what I mean, with the right tools to succeed, you know, you can actually save a little bit of development time in my book, you know.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I agree to an extent, but also, like, let's be real, 6th and 7th round picks are still lottery tickets, right? Like,
Oh, no, I'm talking about I'm talking about like
Top
of course.
100.
You know, I'm talking about high picks, you know, like, you know,
Sure.
first, second rounders,
Good.
you know.
For sure.
Of course the other guys too, you know what I mean? Like, but they'll take time anyway. You know what I mean? That's nature of the beast, right?
Yep.
Unless you're
That's what happens when you draft teenagers.
That's it. I mean, again, it's a crapshoot. You don't know, and you just got to follow them, and you got to babysit them, and you got to nurture them and show them the right way. But some guys are more ready than others. That's why they're in the top 2 rounds, right? So surround them right. You know,
It's something that I think doesn't get talked about enough with all young athletes, to be honest. And we see this all the time with Avalanche development camps. They take an entire day to like teach those guys, hey, this is how you eat and this is how you cook decent meals.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're an adult and you have to live by yourself now. Forget the on ice stuff. These people have to learn how to be human beings
And
also.
you can't just eat Taco Bell
Yeah,
and like Popeyes every day.
Well, this is where,
It's a
Eric,
learning curve.
you always talk about when guys get to the NHL, you're a big believer in the NHL billet family.
100%.
Go
if you're a young
live,
kid.
go live with a vet, you know.
It's too much. Like it's
The O'Reilly, Duchesne guys, like go live in one of
Gabe.
these guys' basements. Yeah, Gabe.
Yep.
Yeah, go live in the basement of one of your veteran teammates so that you can learn this. It's you know, you're not getting hard launched into the world like this. You're getting soft launched into reality.
There's a lot that goes with it. Take your time, and it's like breathe a little bit. Learn the ropes. Learn the right way. You don't need to rush into anything, you know, outside of the game, because the game, there's so much with it. So it's important to, again, that's part of development. That's what I was saying. You got to surround them the right way.
Yep.
You know, it's big.
And let's be real, when we're talking about the Avs, they haven't been any good at this.
Their development has anything beyond a top 10 pick, significant struggles for the Colorado Avalanche to get anything out
And
of it.
like they got some decent play out of Alex Newhook and then moved him for assets that they were able to use for. But honestly,
all right, so extend that to the 16th pick.
Honestly, that deal is pretty good though. But
No,
it's
totally.
like you're looking at Justus Onanen and going, this could be their first regular outside of the first round since 2009.
Yep. Their closest was Connor Timmins, and he had injury problems, unfortunately.
Yeah, and
was
then got
traded,
moved.
And you won a Stanley Cup, so worth it. But your development still there is Where is it?
Yeah. Like it's very fair when you look specifically at the Avs and be like, they haven't been very good at that part of this.
Especially on the forward side. Really the only successful forward development guy you can look at outside of the first round is Logan O'Connor.
And they didn't really do any developing there.
And he showed up and was already that guy.
He was 23 years old when he
Exactly.
signed.
Yeah.
Like, he was 23, rolls on in, has one great season in the AHL, and he gets it. And I guess you could call that a development win because he played for you in the AHL and then
It's better than anything they've gotten out of the draft picks
slowly
down
worked his
there,
way
so,
into the
yeah.
NHL. I mean, hell, Logan O'Connor wasn't even a lineup regular until you needed him at the end of that Dallas series in the bubble. And he came in with his hair on fire, and it's just never gotten put out.
Yep.
He immediately rolled in, hit everything that moved, and he hasn't left the lineup since.
Yep. Can we get another guy like that? That'd be cool.
They're out there.
I mean,
They're out there.
Sam Malinsky's going to be not in Logan O'Connor, but like if he's on
I'm more
your
meant to forward, but you're right.
yeah, like Sam Malinsky is a third pairing guy that can play your kind of game. If he's on your team next year, that we've talked about this. Megan and I have talked about this a lot on the show. Of Cal Hurry, of we recognize they haven't been very good at this. They've moved a lot of their picks. So how are they getting stuff out of their pipeline? It's signing these college UFAs. Mm-hmm. It's finding the undrafted guys.
Yep.
Ivan
Yep.
is a guy that you're now keeping a serious eye on and saying, this is interesting. Because he, and Ivan shouldn't be on your NHL team next year, but
Definitely not.
you are looking at him now and going, this guy could be a 4C for you down the road.
I hope you're right.
There's a lot of work to
But
go.
the reality is I have no faith in the Avs to get a guy there.
And that's the problem, because why would you?
Yep.
This isn't like, they've had a bad 4-year stretch. 2009.
They're even like past 2009, I think there's 3 or 4 guys in the late rounds that have played 100 games in the NHL, and all of them have not been with the Avs. The most recent being Nils Oman.
Which one?
Niels Oman playing for Vancouver.
Yeah.
He was their 6th or 7th round pick 2
6th,
years ago.
Yeah, and they let his rights expire.
Yeah.
Which it's not like he was putting up great numbers in Europe or anything, but for other teams to find and get value out of guys you're picking in the late round, where's the disconnect in the Avalanche organization here?
Oh, somebody brings up Sean Barons. Okay. He has 2 pro games.
Yeah, he may well end up being a guy, but we don't know yet.
Exactly. He has work to do, and the Avs have to give him the opportunities.
All right.
Their closest bet right now is Justus Anonen and
I would agree.
maybe Jean-Luc Foudy.
He's still got to earn a spot next season.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's still kind of a stretch with Jean-Luc Foudy because he's miscast in the roles that are in the spots on the Avalanche roster that are currently available.
Agree. It's hard. Making the NHL is hard, man.
It is hard.
It is.
And honestly, I think this is one reason why the Avs are comfortable trading so many picks away is because they know even if we like these guys, we don't have these spots available very often. We have a lot of guys on big money deals for many, many years.
Yep.
It was a little easier when Landeskog and Nichushkin were available to you, and you were looking at it going, okay, our forward core's kind of done.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was under contract at the time.
My old man used to always say, "There's only so many jerseys available."
Yeah.
And it's not downgrading to anybody. It's a fact.
Yeah.
There's only so many jerseys available. That's it.
You even look at this weird monster version of the Avalanche forward core. Just the Avalanche roster in general. You have 2 goalies who are signed.
Yep.
You have 4 defensemen who are signed. And if you wanted to include a Sean Barron, Sam Malinsky, it maybe is 5.
You also have, ignoring Landeskog and Nichushkin,
Yeah.
you have 8 forwards with Middlestat, who's an RFA. So
Yeah,
you'll
Middlestat
sign.
will be on the team, so we will definitely include Middlestat.
Yeah. So you have
You have 8 of your guys.
Yeah. You might have more depending on other forward situations.
Yeah, like with some of that money, if they were to bring a Druin back, all right, now
Right.
you're at 9. You promote a Jean-Luc Foudy, all right, now you're at 10. Like, there's just not a ton of spots here, and there haven't been.
Yep. It's tight. Anyway, we do got to get out of here for the day. So we hope y'all enjoyed this
I forgot
one.
about Kovalenko already.
Yeah, I mean, he was part of the 8.
Yeah. I mentally have continued
Sure.
to forget he exists.
Yeah. A bit of a looser show, a fun one just to talk about things going on around hockey and some of the stuff we found interesting. We will be back tomorrow, though, with Kieran Sibriot, national champion with the DU Pioneers. So should be a fun show talking a little DU hockey.
Friend of the show. You guys don't know this, but he's been on the pod before. During a watch along.
Yeah, it was on the watch along, not the pod, but different things.
The watch along is just a long pod.
Okay, sure. Whatever. Either way, look forward to that. If you're a DU fan tomorrow, we'll be doing all that good stuff. We appreciate y'all. Go watch my 24th pick draft history video.
It's a good one.
And we'll talk to you on the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.